Okay, so today we chose the topic of the safe construction during a pandemic. Um, During today's presentation, we will cover mainly two things based on one philosophy that we are trying to keep on place at the construction site during the pandemic. So as the LPM 18 safety policy says, promote the philosophy that safety is not a priority that can be reordered. It is a value associated with everything we do. Starting from this quote, we will start our presentation today. And our mainly topic or abstract is that how the safety coordinators team managed during the pandemic of the health situation, balancing the industrial safety and the sanitary safety, the COVID-19. But without losing the objective of making a philosophy where safety is a value associated with everything we do. During today's presentation, we will first go through the safety team in order to know who is who in this team, some stats from the last year, and also, of course, as we mentioned it before, the industrial safety and the sanitary safety. And finally, we'll end with a facing of the future and how we are preparing for the important things like the critical task that the project will face in the next the future months. At the end of the presentation, also we will provide a time for question. And as you know, we have the Zoom chat that you can put your question, or also we have the Slack. I think I put on the chat the link to the Slack group. If somebody wanna provide question or have any concern during the presentation. Okay, so the safety team. Safety team is led by Chuck Gessner, our head of safety. He is based on Tucson, Arizona. And we have a weekly and almost a daily communication. One big meeting that we all between us and the safety coordinator of NOAA Lab. And also we have a daily communication in some case when it's needed. Slack is represented by Robin Christensen, acting for many years. Joe Kenny was the Slack camera safety manager. Joe is already retired last month, and Robin Christensen is taking the position, acting, as I said before, of camera safety manager. Here in Chile, myself, Giovanni Corvetto, the safety, health, and environment manager, and the team on site is a safety coordinator, Sergio Vega, which is also kind of a rooming because he's also provide support and assistance to the NOAA Lab telescope sites like Tololo, Gemini, and SOAR. One of our senior safety coordinators, Sandra Romero, is the most experienced safety coordinator on site. She's been from the very beginning of the project with a large knowledge of construction safety, among others topics. And recently, the safety assistant, she started as an student intern 2 summers ago, and she performed so well that we decided to keep her as assistant. Her name is Maria Fernanda Parra. She takes care of mainly administrative support on the trainings and many others on-site activities as well. So this is the team of safety, both in Chile and, as I said before, the head of safety in Tucson, Arizona, and the camera safety manager, Robin Christensen, in California, Stanford. Okay, regarding the last stat, or the last year's stat, here we put on a table with the currently from June 2010 until July 21, the progression about the incident, accident, and some rates. As you see at the screen to the right up, you can see yearly, starting in 2014, the start of the project, the rates of the injuries rate. The last one, 2021, I will say that this 1.5 rate is because we only have one injury, but we have a less number of hours since the year is not yet finished. These measures are taken from January to December. However, the project average starting from June 2010 until today is the 0.49. That's the injury rates. And the injury rates, according to OSHA, is the times the number of injuries times 200,000 hours worked, and then you get the rates. As a note, the 2018 USA national average was 3.0, and from the construction area was 2.8. So our project is very below of that numbers. Here is another table that we show the current year, well, starting from October 2020. So the accident that we have during the last month. And as you see, no lost time except one on July the 8th. We have a contractor employee that get some days off for an accident on site, on a fall on the same level. Okay, so as we said before, we are trying to balance in during the last year the industrial safety and the COVID-19 or the sanitary safety. Mainly, we start with the industrial safety based on the LPM 114, the Safe Health and Environment Plan, designed many years ago by Chuck Gessner, and that we are being applying for the last, from the very start of the construction project. And of course, we keep now, despite the COVID-19 situation, but convey and combine, merge both in the same situation. So here we put on a several action or task that we are using, and based on the LPM 114 sheet plan, how we deal and how we manage the industrial safety on site. You will see on the next slide how the safety coordinators are provided and put on place those measure controls, preventive, and many others activities related to the safety industry or industrial safety. So the first one that I want to mention here is the safety orientation. Safety orientation starts from the idea that everybody that step on the construction site will be no knowledge about the hazard that they can facing when they arrive to the site. So the safety coordinators team provide prior any visitors, external visitor, contractor employee, new hired roofing staff, or any other that want to go to the summit site to know the hazard, have knowledge about the conditions and the risks that are facing. And of course, also all the measure control, all the preventive tools that we will provide for them to avoid any accident. The safety orientation mainly have 6 areas that cover in an about 2.5 hours of session training. Every week, twice a week, Maria Fernanda Parra, myself, Sandra, or Sergio provide a safety orientation for everybody that needs, especially for the new hired, of course, and as I said before, new contractors that arrive or contractors company that start develop any task at the site. So safety orientation is a first and a generic safety orientation about the hazard on site. Then we have a safety road and ORA road protocols, the CPP orientation, which is the COVID-19 exposure prevention plan, bus and pickup truck sanitary protocols, the cafeteria food service sanitary protocols, and the rapid antigen test user guidance and Kinexon traceability system briefing. So the whole training session cover mainly all the activities and all the potential hazard and risk that any person could face if they go into the site. Okay, another of the very concerning activities that we carry on during the last year is to prepare and put in place fall protection for working at height. So the risk of fall from height have been evaluated as one of the main risks of the construction site. The safety coordinator work constantly in design, evaluation, verification, and training on site, all of the aspects that working at height and fall protection could present for us. As you see in the picture, this is an external company called Tech that provide a training for the team that will perform a very hazard and very important work of the roof of the dome. Persons, employees of the contractors companies get this training, and also, as you see in the picture to the left, they provide us a specific equipment, specific designed for this kind of job at height. Also, we prepare as a safety team and a procedure and a verification checklist and a whole protocol for the person that will perform this kind of work at the roof and sometimes on a vertical lines. It will be a very hazard condition, but we are being preparing a lot during this year for this. Also, we provide training for our team in not only the roof on the other. So we have several other activities at height that deserve providing full protection and verification and training. As you see here, some of the engineer mechanical team, Freddy Munoz and Mario Rivera, is getting an orientation about the retractable restricting lanyard and the benefit they use that instead of any others. And in the other picture, you can see Sandra Romero, one of our senior safety coordinators, at the roof, verifying the lanyards and the lifelines during a very regular or routinary verification. Nice picture of Sandra, by the way, with the mountains behind. Okay, another one that we are basing on the LPM 114 sheet plan is the Lockout and Tagout. Various areas of the construction site have equipment that requires to be de-energized for maintenance, verification, or repair, or any improvement. So we are applying here on a document called LPN 212. That's the Lockout Tagout standard. So each time that equipment requires to application of Lockout Tagout, you will see here lots of acronyms is for Lockout Tagout. The safety team provide a closely surveillance and support. This we don't lead the Lockout Tagout, we provide support, but I want to show here in some pictures of an recently maintenance of the P-flow elevator that involves several areas. So in the next slide, you will see here in a group of people, a person, and I put some arrows to indicate. The first one is Freddy Munoz, and the Rubin Observatory mechanical engineer, and ultimate the P-flow elevator manager, or he was in charge of the maintenance at that time. And also you can see here Juan Fábrega is our electrical engineer, and he was in charge to de-energize properly the elevator in order the other guys on the white Tyvek coverall be safe to work without any concern that any solvent energy could apply during the reparation and the maintenance of the P-flow elevator. And ultimately, you can see Sebastián Arqueros, that's the contractor safety coordinator. All of them that participate on the Lockout, Tagout, and in the maintenance provide for a lock. The main lock that Juan Fábregas, as a main engineer, put on that is on the box, and the others put his locks attached to one pins there and with a tag. Each tag will be not removed until the main lock is released too. So everyone will be sure that the energy will be not turned on during the maintenance and activities at the P-flow elevator. This will be a regular routine in the next month in the Rubin Observatory site, because we are facing and move forward for many activities that need de-energized equipment. So we are working hardly, and every area have knowledge about the Lockout Tagout. Or next or very near activity about Lockout Tagout It's a generic training that we will provide for everyone, and that will be in a 3 levels provided first at the safety orientation, and then according to the specific task that the person will develop on site, we'll also take level 2 as affected person and level 3 as a responsible person. So that will be 3 levels of lockout tagout training in the future, very near. Okay, so we also worked on during this year on the extension cord and extension electrical cords. As we know, many of the activities on site required an electrical power tools, and of course the extension cord will be all around the place. So we work on the design of the protocol to control and prevent electrical hazard that could be caused by those electrical elements. The protocol has a monthly color code, you will see in the next slide, for verification. And also the protocol established guidelines regarding the types of plugs allowed and the condition of the equipment. So you see here several pictures at the down of the screen that we are being reinforced to the staff that are not allowed to use because they have damage or represent a potential electrical hazard. Here's an example of a monthly color code. Every month, the electrical extension cord should be verified and checked by the contractors and roofing team, and they will put on a tape corresponding to the color of the month. So any cord or extension electrical that is not in condition to be used will be taped with a red tape, and that means that it's out of the service. That will be taken from the site. And for the verification of that, we use the safety observation process or program. You will see in the next slide how we use the safety observation. Well, also we are working from the very beginning of the, after the Besalco civil work contractor company leave the site, and somehow we take the power of the site, we start with the monthly inspection report. Every month, the safety coordinators provide recommendation to the responsible party if there are safety deviations. So the safety inspection have several areas of inspection, like the contractor facility, fire protection, access and exit, mobile equipment, pickup trucks, welding and cutting operation, cranage, scaffolding, electrical and hand tools, and now we add in, of course, the CEPP as a part of the monthly inspections. Here's an example of one of the areas, fire protection and emergency response. So we check for the fire extinguisher and see if it is properly loaded, clearly visible and accessible, place the market according to the standard, etc. So if this is compliance, that will be a yes. It is not, that will be an observation that the safety coordinator sent to the responsible party in order to have a correction. So some of the corrections should be corrected and addressed immediately, and some of them will take a couple days or weeks sometimes. But the safety coordinator take the responsibility to tracking this recommendation and see that any correction is being addressed properly. Every month, at least once, one area of the construction project get one of this inspection. Not only contractors, also roofing areas, and we split and we divide the roofing in different subsystems like electrical, electronic, IT, coating, mechanical, and then also we have areas like auxiliary telescope, patio 2 and 3, casino area, La Villa, etc. So we have, every week we are reviewing and inspecting different areas, once a month at least for each area. Okay, I mentioned before the safety observation. Safety observation is a tool that we developed in order to the safety coordinator provide our own in-field observation. So the idea of this is get on the site For example, I put here on a cable with a damage. So the safety observation is issued by the observer, most of the time the safety coordinator. Then the employee receives the safety observation and immediately informs to the supervisor. If the receiver is the supervisor himself, then we skip that step. And then the area supervisor manages the correction. Once managed, communicate to the observer to verify the corrections. So this is called safety observation, but many of us believe that this is also a kind of a stop work authority. It's a way to use the stop work authority. When you see something on different areas, you will see here, an unsafe condition, an unsafe act, or opportunity for improvement, the safety coordinator will provide this. But it's not only for that. Also, we use for provide that we call safe work. It's an correspond to the observation where the condition of the work area, the development of tasks, the tools, the materials, and the element used complies with the safety standards. So it's an opportunity to say, guys, congratulations, you're doing a very good job on safety. And we make public, when somebody get a safe work observation, we make sure that we spread the information all over the place. Okay, but also, as I said before, we use as an stop work authority. Sometimes we say, guys, this is an unsafe condition, we have to stop here, we will put the safety observation, and until it's not addressed, the correction, we will not close the safety observation. As I said before, sometimes we can do it immediately. It's something that is very easy, but sometimes we need external materials, external device, some improvement on the engineer, on the structure of the area, etc. We have every safety coordinator use one of these safety observation on site almost daily, and many of them we are very happy to say that we have several safe work observed, and we are very diligent, and the persons are very diligent to correct the unsafe condition, and very listening and comprehensive when we provide a safety observation related to unsafe act. And of course, also we put here any environmental condition, both negative or positive, that we can find on site. And so also it's a very good opportunity to use this tool for pointed and highlight when we see very good condition on environment approach, and also to correct when see things that need to be corrected. Okay, so others that is very part of the communication. We start this year with something that we call the Safety 5-minute talk, or the S5MT. So each safety coordinator chose any topic related to safety and the environment and randomly approach to a working group using no more than 5 minutes to recommend, advise, or discuss the topic. Each safety coordinator must provide at least one S5MT per week, but most of the time they do it 2 or 3 per week. So it's a very good tool. Don't take too much time. Sometimes we use the currently safety recommendation. You will see about the safety recommendation on the next slides. But will be very grateful for us to have this face-to-face contact with the guys, and we also get a very good feedback when we approach to some groups with a topic of safety, and they answer to us and they provide us new ideas. So it's been very, very useful, and a very good experience to put in place the S5MT. And also we have the weekly safety personalized message. So every week, 7 lucky employees receive a personalized email from the safety leader of Rubin Observatory, reminding them of the current safety recommendations. So it's a very personalized, it's one-to-one, it's from the safety manager to the person, and they receive, dear John, for example, we want to recommend you this, or you remember this very good suggestion about safety. If you have any feedback, please provide to us. And also, as the S5MT, this has been a very good experience, because we receive many feedback of the people, of the person, about how they see the safety on site, how they think we can do it better and improve some areas. So it's been very grateful for us. It's very educative, as I say, for the safety coordinators team to have this weekly safety personalized message. And here is one of our, for a long time now, tool used, the safety recommendation. So we design a monthly, sometimes more than one, safety recommendation. The recommendation covers topics related to industrial safety, environmental care, and of course now currently the exposure to COVID-19 prevention measures tools. So the safety recommendations are distributed to staff and contractors as well. And also we use for the S5MT and sometimes also for the random weekly personalized message. So safety recommendation, you see here two samples of the last month, June and July. The June one was about fall protection and the correct use and handling of the harness on site. And also the last month of July, we covered the prevention of fall on the same level on site, because we have many areas at the construction site that could be a hazard of tripping, etc. So was a recommendation about that. Okay, so before the slides, before we try to show how we are keeping on the safety, industrial safety, based on the LPM 114 SHE plan, the Safety, Health, and Environment Plan, and using all the tools and the framework compliance that the LPM 114 provides us and apply it on site. But also, during the last year, we started facing a new neighbor guy in the area, and it's calling the COVID-19. So the project developed a document calling the LPM 371, which is the Rubin Observatory COVID-19 Exposure Prevention Plan. We shared this information in the same topic of the document with the ORA and NOER lab, but also forced us to put several tools and measurement control and preventive measurement on site for avoid the exposure to the COVID-19 of the employees and also the contractors' employees. And actually, anyone that get onto the site. Okay, so when we start these, we recognize that not single intervention is a perfect to prevent spread, right? So we use this, which is not us. This is from the Mr. James T. Reason that in 1990, he provided this idea for the model of accident, calling the Swiss cheese model. So what this Mr. James T. Reason say that each intervention, each layer of the cheese has imperfection, so small holes, right? But if we put multiple layers, we will improve the success and to get to a successful end. So here we put several layers on our COVID-19 prevention management of the situation. I will show those layers of the intervention on the next slide, right, to know what we are doing in order to avoid the exposure of the employees and the workers to the COVID-19. The first one is that the questionnaire, online questionnaire. Daily, the employees, external visitors, or contractors employee should fill out a questionnaire that have mainly 3 questions. The first one is if they have, during the past 14 days, any of the following symptoms, the symptom that is related to COVID-19. The second question is that in the past 14 days, having tested positive for COVID-19 and is not be released on a medical discharge yet. And the third one is if in the past 14 days, the person has been as a close contact with anyone who was tested positive for COVID-19, and at the time of the close contact, they had not yet been cleared from quarantine or be release or medical discharge by a medical professional. So if somebody answer with a no to one of these, sorry, if somebody answer with a yes to one of these questions, should not go to the site, should not access to the site, voluntary, and immediately have to report to the supervisor or to the COVID-19 person, responsible person on site. Okay. But if somebody answer a no to the three questions, that will be no problem, and he can go to the site and access to the site and work. This is our first layer. This is our first intervention, and happens before the person's going to the site. Should happen when you are at home, before you arrive even to the recinto in La Serena, so you already know that you will not go into the site, and you already know that you will not provide any, if you are doves, sometimes it's nothing, sometimes could be just a regular flu, but we will not take chance, and we will request the person stay home if they are sick. And then we have another one, is the control temperature. So the buses and many of the access to the site have a temperature control available. The guards at the recinto and at the main control at the mountain, they have a temperature device in order to control the temperature. If somebody is over 37.8 Celsius degrees, will be asked or requested to get back home. And also, as you see at the picture, we have a temperature control before the employees get on the buses, of the shuttle buses of the daily service. Once you are on site, we have a program calling the Rapid Antigen Test Program, RAT. This is provided by an external company, it's a Chilean company named Signage, and they provide us a rapid antigen test on site on a weekly basis. So every employee, every person that go to the site at least once a week will take one of these rapid antigen tests in order to prevent and avoid outbreaks on site. The strategy of this is actually that, control of the outbreaks. Okay, you see here a picture. We prepare and put on a special, that we call them the model test or the kiosk test, and that's under a sanitary condition. Janitors provide a sanitation every day to this area, and also we have beside this model test, we have an isolation area in case of we found one reactive or positive person. We will put on isolation until the person will be commuted or transported down to La Serena for a properly process of quarantine and isolation. This model test also have PCR tests available in case of we found one positive of rapid antigen test. But as you know, the analysis and the result from a PCR test take 24 hours, between 24 and 48 hours. So that will be not immediately. So when we found a person with an antigen test positive, we will take a PCR test, put him in isolation, coordinate to move or transport him or her down to La Serena, him or her house, and then wait for the result of the PCR. And when we get the, oh, sorry, I step one. Sorry, another one is the surgical mask, and they are provided by us to everyone. The roofing observatory staff and the contractors and internal visitor are required to wear masks all the time in the workplace and the workplace public areas. So all the times, persons should wearing a mask. And as we know, the surgical masks are disposal. We provide and we have several of those specific containers that will be arranged across the site to dispose of the mask. Also, we have a big dump container, and when this container be full, we will proceed with an environmental according to the environmental regulation standard, final disposal of all the masks and all the materials that we use for sanitation for COVID-19. Okay, this is another one that I want to mention is about the working groups that we call in the bubbles. So the bubbles are mainly characterized by five similar characteristics. The first is the person should belong to the same work group, work together. The second one is the person that work in a common working environment, so they're in the same place most all the time. The third one is they will share the cafeteria service shift together. So they go in together to the breakfast, they go in together to the lunchtime, and also they develop the task at the site or at a specific location of the site. And also we provide to them an exclusively portable toilet that's being sanitized daily, but only that bubble group will use the same portable toilets. We call to this system and the bubble working group system, and it's one of the maximas or one of the regulation for this group is that when you need to go to another bubble group, you must go through a specific process in order to request and let them know why are you going to interacting with other group or other bubble group, and should be for a very specific reasons. Any other interaction should be do it through the radio, cell phone, blue jeans, online meetings, etc. Of course, we keep on the 6 feet minimum distance between persons. It's been signage all over the site about this, and we reinforce on a daily basis the distance that every person should take care and keep in every place on site. Also, the bus passenger and the pickup trucks have a specific distance inside the seat. As you see at the layout, this is a layout of the bus that provide the service daily for the employees and has been arranged with seats which are blocked and tagged as well, that you cannot use it, but we have a reservation of seat that you can use, and that in order to provide a specific distance. Also, the pickup trucks is only allowed for 2 persons, the driver and one of the passengers at the rear seat. And it's also every pickup truck has been posted with these stickers in order to avoid the use or don't use the seat at the front passenger. As I said before, when we found one of the cases of a positive for a rapid antigen test, immediately we take a PCR test. If that result get a positive one, we use this Kinexon Safe Tag. The Kinexon Safe Tag provides us through a software and a platform to know who was on less than 2 meters or 6 feet for over 50 minutes with a person. So when somebody result on a positive for COVID-19, we, through this system, we will know who was in that condition, and therefore we can be more specific in order to determine the close contact. Every person, employees, contractors, visitors, logistics service, everyone should wearing or carrying a tag when they arrive. The regular basis contractors and employees have is already a number, a specific. But when you are a visitor, one of the safety coordinators provide you a scan of a tag and then provide you a visitor tag in order to, in case of we know in the future that was a case of positive, that will be very easy for us to determine the close contact. It's not only that, also this system provide us the chance or the option to set the bubble groups with a different alert sound. So in case that you are corresponding to one bubble group and another person is corresponding to other group, if you get too close, and a beep alert will start. and that's tell you that you have too close to that person which belong to a different work bubble group. Okay, so have two options to use, but mainly we use for the traceability in case of an outbreak on site, or in case of found one of a positive result. Okay, recently also we start with this germicidal ultraviolet light. Those has been installed at the facility. The ultraviolet sterilization is a process that destroys all microbial life by means of ultraviolet radiation. The ultraviolet or UV lights is one of the proven means of treating biological contaminated water, air, or surface. In this case, we are using in a synchronizing with our fan coil system all at the facility in order to have an air purified or cleaning or destroy of any biological contamination, potential contamination. When we installed this, I was in a severe concern about the UV lights exposure. So we define and develop a process and a protocol in order to have a monthly measurement of the UV light exposure. And as you see at the picture, is a scan code. You can scan that code and see the last registry of the measurement that the safety coordinator monthly take with a meter, UV light meter. And also we posted several warnings about that, starting from over, I remember 6 feet or something, yeah, 6 feet maybe, 2.1 meter, is a warning that you could be exposed directly to UV lights. This is a very good system. We very like it, and we are installed already at the conference room, at the second level, at the cafeteria, the casino cafeteria, and the observation and control room at the facility in Pachon. And also we are being working very close with our janitors team in order to perform some daily and frequent sanitation of areas. You can see a picture here. We changed a little bit. In the past, in a normal situation, we was doing, maybe two times per day, and a cleaning of the bathroom. Now we are doing 4, sometimes 5 times per day, with a specific condition and a process and protocol. And also at every area that is being related to the rapid antigen test. You see a picture here, one of the janitor applying a sanitation on ammonium quaternarium on the test model, and the other picture, one of the restroom during a cleaning. The safety coordinator design and a process and a protocol, and they provide several training and update to the janitors when we improve something, and also we keep the control of the registry of each sanitation and cleaning. Communication and information, informative campaign all the time. You see here our Sandra Romero, safety coordinator, posting signage, both in English and Spanish. We also keep on the safety recommendations, safety core recommendation now in this case, with the focus on the COVID-19 questionnaire and the importance of the rapid antigen tests. Both very good elements, very good tools that we use to prevent and avoid the exposure. What is coming in the future for us? Well, these are important tasks that we are dealing with glass safety, and that's very important for us. We understand and we know that when we are talking about move or handle or lifting or doing anything with a glass or any of the very specific optical instrument that we use, we only have one opportunity of failure, and we will not take it. We know and we prepare as much as possible before those activities. Now, in the near future, we will actually this week start with a very important task with the commissioning camera installation. environment-free movement and coating will be in the near future. We are preparing for that. And also, as I mentioned before, the second layer dome cladding that will be involved several vertical line work and a very hazard working on height. So we are preparing and facing these new challenges, among many others, but those are very important too for us. So when we start the presentation today, we say that we are trying to show here how we balancing the industrial safety and the sanitary COVID-19. COVID-19 has been consuming most of the time of many of us, not only safety area, many of the areas and subsystems of the project has been related, working and being affected, impacted by the COVID-19. Safety team, of course. But we are keep and trying to have a balance between both, because the balance for us is equals to keep going with the operation and keep with the construction process, natural process. Victor mentioned it earlier at the plenarium when we opened this PCW project community workshop, that the impact of the COVID-19 will be several months. We understand that, but we want to keep the industrial safety as on an equals balance between the safety approach of the projects. So safety team, the safety coordinators keep and maintain the objective to establishing a balance between the industrial safety. The construction integration and soon commissioning process require maintain the philosophy that safety is a value that is implicit in everything we do. So that's our philosophy when we're talking. When we think about COVID-19, when we think about sanitary condition and sanitary safety and industrial safety, despite if it is industrial safety or COVID-19, we always think that safety is a value, and that's implicit in everything we do. So, to finalize the presentation today, so working on the greatest safety culture. So what we want is to working together with all the project to make a work philosophy where safety is a value associated with everything we do. Every time, despite this COVID-19, industrial safety, we will think about our philosophy. Safety is a value associated with everything we do. To end the presentation today, I want to, on a specific thanks to the safety team. That's the reason because I put the pictures down on the screen, to Sandra Romero, Sergio Vega, Maria Fernanda Parra, and Chuck Gessner for the efforts, for the very good job during this year, for the commitment that they have with the philosophy where safety is a value associated with everything we do. And mainly for that, because when you work with a group like that, make your job as a leader of the safety team very easy. So thanks to the guys, and I will remain now open for any question or any comments that anybody wanna make. Chuck Gessner, our head of safety, is here. So Chuck, do you want to say something? Any comment to the presentation?
I think that was a really good presentation there, Giovanni. Well done.
Giovanni, thanks for the presentation. That was great. I think this on this session, the group is small enough. I would invite people to make this as much a discussion and bring up any other points. Instead of thinking about formal questions, really want to invite people to engage and think about this going forward and any other comments.
Thank you.
Maybe I can help with that. So we're still working on version 5 of the COVID exposure prevention plan. As many of you know, at least in the United States, we went back to mask wearing as a recommendation from the CDC. So that kind of tripped us a little bit. We're looking at actually having another director's review. Just communicated with Dana, not just today, to update the plan and then allow the directors to take a look at it. But it's going to be another week. Really, nothing's changed because Chile remains the same as far as the recommendations from the MinSal. CDC basically reverted back to mask wearing, and so did OSHA. So not a whole lot of changes there. I'll just the other. I see Juan's name there. I'll also say that this last year, remember before the pandemic hit, we were really stressing the procedures to do lockout tagout on a lot of our equipment and whatnot. And I'm really happy and proud of you guys for moving forward with that. It looks like we have a system of control now. And I really do appreciate that, Juan and the safety team to making that happen. I know, Sean, you were involved in some of that as well. So really do appreciate that.
Yeah, me too. Giovanni, really nice presentation. Are they, Victor, you showed some slides, a really nice slide of everybody working on the camera assembly on level 3. Giovanni, are we using the lockout tagout on level 3 for that implementation that's coming up this week?
For the level 3, we are in the patch of evaluate and analysis what will be the equipment that need lockout tagout. But however, if we found something that will be under maintenance or on one of the de-energizing necessary, of course, we will apply the lockout tagout.
Great. I know they're working on that this week, so. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, something that maybe I don't mention is that we are applying a lot of lockout tagout on the maintenance or any reparation of the equipment. Recently, we get through a forklift reparation by the external vendor, and they apply the lockout tagout, of course, with a surveillance of all. So, for example, the mechanical technician from this company, he put his tag and his log, and Rodrigo Rojas, as the owner of the activity, also was lockout and tagout equipment for 2 days. So yeah, sometimes many people think that lockout tagout is only for de-energizing electrical energy, and it's not. It's any energy that could provoke any hazard or damage. So it's very important to point to that. And we don't only have an electrical energy. It's maybe the main cases is electrical, but in many cases it's also hydraulics, sometimes mechanical energy, kinetic energy sometimes.
Yeah, and we'll have that hazard too, right, Sean? When the TMA, with the TMA bearings and lines, that's very high pressure oil.
Yeah, and that'll be coming online in the next month. So we'll have to have all of our safety procedures in place for that.
I was going to mention that the lockout tagout is a really important and safety protocol, and it really needs to be a strong element in everything we do on that summit. But I was going to also point out that really one of the challenges is when lockout and tagout doesn't work because of remote operation. And so we also have put some thought into how do we position the work and the people and the advisories and the overall safety condition for the situation where we have people remote testing hardware that's on the summit that clearly we can't lock it out because they're testing it. But yet we still have to be as careful as ever about the kinetic and electrical energy that's involved. And so maybe a couple of comments on that front, Giovanni and Chuck, would also be interesting.
Yeah, well, before a couple months before we start with Chuck and the design of a standard for remote safety operation. Unfortunately, we don't have so many history or backup information because it's something very new. But I was taking some protocols from the mining companies that use remote control operation in the underground minings and the surface mining. So that's our first step, is to work on a standard that provides us the frame, how we will envision our operation for remote, how will be and how many will be the hazard that we will facing, and what are we what we want to do actually when somebody is actually remote in working.
Well, so I'd say, Giovanni, that's the second step. So it's not like we've avoided all of this, right? So the demarcation, the work area demarcation is already an established procedure on site, right? So that's useful in making sure that unauthorized people are not entering those work areas, right? So that's our first step. Second step is actually writing the procedure on remote operation.
For me personally, for me, my big concern about the remote control or remote operation is the emergency reaction. How we will handle that? How will we manage when something is happened and somebody is in Tucson, Arizona, and there's nobody at the site to control that? So I think I will put on a big focus on that when we develop the standard. But as I mentioned, Jack, we have the safety rule number 2, is that the restriction areas for every critical work. And one of the remote operational is a critical task. So every time when, for example, Holger Drass has been very good on that. He provides us on daily basis or weekly basis about the remote activities, and we, the safety coordinator, get there and put the signage and the restriction. And we inform to everybody that this area will be on a remote operation, so be careful, and it's being properly signaged. Definitely we need to go and move forward to think about it, what to do in case of when nobody is there to, for example, apply the e-stop or to control any other situation that could be happened. And the person many miles away will be not available to also control or prevent.
The other thing I would say from the presentation, Giovanni, is that was also lots of details, but we never mentioned road safety in this particular presentation. So again, because we're a small group here, I will point out that obviously, given recent events, we're particularly focused on it right now. I would say this has been a focus for years, but there's a lot of activity right now because of the recent incidents. And I think that presentation is actually 90% of the way towards the joint status review presentation. All we have to do is maybe add a little bit of these other 2 points in there.
Great.
And I think this is really good.
Okay, thank you, Victor.
Another
Okay, I
important
think
change that's
we
coming
are-
up, I was just going to mention that we're verging on some kind or an amount of control, remote control from the control room of both the TMA and the dome, because we've got this protocol right now for push button, like 4 spotters, this whole kind of procedure that EIE came up with, and that's just not going to work when we get to the point of testing the TMA. And because it took months and months to get a safe procedure for the way we rotate the dome now in place with and agreed to by EIE and by us and everybody else, now is really the time to begin to think about that as well, especially seeing as how EIE is going to be kind of out of pocket for the next few weeks. And by the time they get back in September, October timeframe, we need to start figuring out how we're going to make that safe. Whether there's any part of the IS, the interlock system that can be in place to make sure things like the lift and the crane and other things are stowed, or if it's all completely physical verify, leave it safe for the night, they come in at night, they operate, all that kinds of stuff, as I say, is going to be enough of a paradigm shift and has safety written all over it that we really need to have you guys be a part and parcel of that development that we're going to start in, in technical meetings with EIE like tomorrow and going forward. So that's an important thing to begin to deal with in the safety realm, as well as the technical software and mechanical realm that is upcoming.
I would also mention, Jeff, that we're already remotely operating, obviously, the Oxtel and the camera cable wrap and the rotator remotely. We do have protocols in place for people being near the camera cable wrap or on the floor when that's happening. But yeah, I think you raised a couple of questions. One is remote operation of the e-stop. That's a good idea, Giovanni, but we don't have that now. Nor and if that's a requirement, we should get Franco involved with that now, because I think that, yeah, I think you pointed out that's important. That's an oversight, and that's correct, Chuck, that we don't have remote operation of the e-stop. Is that correct, Chuck?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true. So I think that might be a good topic for our next GIS meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't go so far as to call it an oversight. I mean, there's clearly stop commands. If you're running things remotely, then the very first thing you do is you test on and off and stop commands. But so I wouldn't say it's an oversight that the e-stop doesn't have a remote operation. It clearly requires a discussion about what's the appropriate approach to that. It's still a good comment, and it is a very valuable discussion to have.
Okay, well, let's be careful, Victor. Don't conflate a e-stop with a stop. They're not at all the same.
I understand that completely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's my point. It's,
but
I don't think we have a,
are another different thing.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about
that. We discussed a lot of that.
So we can get some guidelines from the robotic standard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, that's clearly good points and good discussions to move forward with. I was just going to add and maybe highlight one thing that Jeff said. I think from the site standpoint, the real paradigm shift for the dome area, telescope area, is that when we do get into this more remote operation of the dome to support any of the commissioning activities, the real paradigm shift is going to be do the inspection one time for that area to make sure that it is truly safe, that nothing has been, no activities during the day have put something in jeopardy, equipment's in the right place, there's no lanyards attached to the dome, that the dome is truly free to go in the same way that those spotters currently do that in real time. But then if we're in this position where we're going to be doing, even if it's just the simplest of motions, the big shift is going to be at that point in time, the entire dome area has been inspected once and nobody sets foot in there, not just because for the duration of the actual movements, but also from the standpoint of nobody should go up there to even move a single thing. There should be no activity, because what we have just done is inspected, that everything is clear for an operation, even whether it's remote from 1,000 miles away, 7,000 miles away, or only 100 meters away. It has truly been verified for that activity. And we have to have systems in place to block off or completely isolate these areas that have been pre-tested or pre-verified, in the same way as Sean mentioned, I believe, that we do ComCam work, Oxtel work right now. That's inspected once at the beginning of the evening, that it's prepared for operation, and nobody goes in there after when we're in sort of operations mode, except under very specific conditions. So that's going to be a big shift for the dome area.
Two comments on that, Victor. We have, I don't think Franco's on the line, but we have access control in place with that is, all the hardware is together. It's not in place, but it's access control for from the dome access to the maintenance platform. This is a gate, and for the GIS system. The other one is in the pier to provide access to level underneath the TMA. Those really need to be in place before we start operation or using the system remotely. I agree. And I don't actually know the exact current status on the access gate. I know the hardware's been purchased. Giovanni, have you seen any of this installed on level inside the pier or on the maintenance platform yet? Do you know this?
No,
I don't.
not yet. No.
Okay,
no way.
so it's a good point. We should probably get going on that. As I think everybody's aware, when Techniker arrives in November-ish, the first thing they do is they set up the telescope interlock system. But Techniker also is helping Franco set up the global interlock system as well. So we're gonna, in the next few months, have to get all this hardware in place. And I know Franco's leading this effort now, but it does set a good deadline for us to try to achieve. And we should really get a good verification of all the systems, maybe through system engineering, before November on this. Jeff, does that seem like a reasonable schedule?
Yeah, it does. And I think absolutely, if we can, and I wouldn't even say if, however we do it, we have to have some kind of interlock control for the entrances so that you can not only make a policy saying, no, thou shalt not go near the telescope or dome during the night because it's in observing, but also to just prevent the innocent, somebody that isn't really trying to intervene and they just think they're going up to look at something or test something or to put something or to get something or whatever, because that kind of sort of casual, somebody's on site and something happens and they just want a visual verification of something. You can't just have that. And so you really do need to know, has anybody violated these barriers? And they're hard barriers, and you get a big red flag saying somebody just entered. And so all that doesn't happen magically. It has to, right.
It's not just a red flag. It'll shut down. It'll be an e-stop. It'll shut the dome. It'll shut the telescope down.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll ping Franco to remind him that we need the access control verified before November, well before November.
Right. And we mentioned that Oxtel is operating that way, but I don't think there's even any interlocks there. Somebody could walk over, and if they had the key, open and go into Oxtel and watch it moving during the night, right? I mean, there's nothing physically to keep them from doing that, or any interlocks that would shut it down.
I thought we had that planned. There should be something there. I thought it was the front door. Okay, I'll make note of that as well.
I think this highlights the obvious transition, right? These are all great strides and all things that we know we are going to have in place to have these safety procedures or safety systems in place to protect staff. But in the meantime, every one of our systems is in commissioning, has to get to that point. And so we all, again, as a project, have to understand that we have to keep, I'll simplify by just saying we all have to keep our head in this game You have to continually think about this. You cannot rely on a lockout tagout procedure. You cannot rely on the GIS system. We are in commissioning of a very complicated and many degrees of freedom here. And so, yes, these are all procedures are excellent. We're going to keep working those. These various systems that are being put in place, like the lockout tagout, all those excellent stuff, all things that are moving forward. But we all have to appreciate that before you get to the fully working system, we are talking about developing to get there, which means that, like Coxtel, it isn't fully automated. You probably can walk right in there. Of course, there's only 2 people on the summit during this time. And so these procedures are not hard to put in place. But when we get to the dome, now it's a different, you know, it's an order of magnitude different because of the numbers of people involved, the number of entry points, the number of places that are dangerous, and so forth. So I just want to, I mean, it's on one hand, want to say, yeah, absolutely, we keep working on those procedures and those systems. On the other hand, nobody should rely on them at this point in time.
Yeah, that's a good point, Victor. So in the lockout tagout, I mean, we always say lockout tagout, but it's lockout, tagout, tryout. So before you know, once we lock out those systems, then somebody needs to try to go to it and turn it on and verify that you cannot energize that particular system while you have the lockout, because we don't know. I mean, I think if I remember right, we had an issue like that about a year ago where we thought we locked it out, but there was some sort of bypass that we didn't know about. I forget what system that was. I think it was the M2. So yeah, so we lockout, tagout, tryout is a good thing. And then, you know, because we're in between construction and moving towards operation, this is the critical time that we have to watch for these systems, so they don't cause us any harm, right? Because as Victor said, we don't have the full GIS system in. We're relying on lockout, tagout, tryout, and those kind of things. So we can't be dependent on the system to behave the way we think it is. We just have to think that maybe it might behave a different way until we've got all our systems in place.
Okay.
The other thing I'll just note, Giovanni, since I have the floor, the other thing we also have to, I think we resolved the pinch point hazard at the dome, but I think it might require us another look, right? There's it's that very obvious forest through the trees where we've looked at it in the renderings for years and years. And finally somebody said, well, that doesn't look right. Remember, we had all those different, Sean, you helped us work on this a little bit too, where we had the guardian and all that.
Chuck, I haven't heard that. What was the current status on the resolution?
Yeah, I don't remember. So it's something that we have to take a look at, I think, again.
Yeah, I do know the last time it's been a while since I was there. The problem was they were working on the rear access door development. And and Jeff, you were there too when I was there the last time. So, but I don't know, Giovanni, has any additional railings been put in place on the maintenance platform or anything like that to protect against pinch or fall hazards there? On the maintenance platform.
The maintenance platform. Well, they are put on some kind of I don't know if definitely something that will be forever, but it is some kind of restriction that doesn't allow you to go forward.
Yeah, it's demarcated, but I don't know if that's good enough. I don't know if that's good enough yet.
That's what I mean. It is something, but I don't know if that will be, you know, if something very have the intention to do it, don't let them do it. Yeah, you can easily violate that. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Look, this has been a great conversation. I think maybe we should, this can continue, but maybe we want to formally close the session.
Yeah, I was doing that.
Then,
Thank you.
if you guys all want to stay on and chat some more, just as if you were in a real PCW, absolutely encourage you to do so. But I think we should probably close this up formally.
Yeah.
I wanted to say thank you again to Giovanni and Sandra and the whole team for the active safety work in Chile.
Mhm. Yep.
So perhaps Chuck and Giovanni and Jeff or anyone else who wants to stay on, we could just.
Unfortunately, I gotta go.
Okay. Okay, I'll be quick with whoever stays then. Just to be aware, I think everyone knows next week they're installing the commissioning camera, and then this week, and then next week they're going to start adjusting the camera cable wrap to rotator limit switches. To me, that's a known risk because you have to crawl inside this machine in order to make those adjustments, and then you move the camera cable wrap rotator and then adjust them again. And it's going to be a process where you're going to have to climb in there. You're going to have to de-energize the system, and you're going to have to climb in there. You're going to have to de-energize the system. Now, I'm not leading this effort. It's being led by Brian Staller and Kevin Reel. But it's going to happen next week. So I don't know. This might be a really good time, Giovanni, to do a hazard analysis of the situation and then bring that. Everyone's aware of the pinch hazard, but then you can talk about the mitigations. And I'm sure that they've thought about this, but I have not seen anything. I haven't reviewed anything. So that's an area I would definitely be very interested in, Giovanni, and how they de-energize. And that's a case where we're going to have a software, somebody from our software team will have to be controlling both the camera cable wrap and the rotator. I don't know if they're going to be on the summit. That could be done remotely.
That's worrisome. I'll just say that's worrisome. So
yeah.
So John, is in the rotator, didn't we put a pin? Isn't there a way to put a pin in the rotator assembly?
Yeah, if you put the pin in the rotator, what happens is it, I have to remember this, it de-energizes the rotator. I think it's part of the PILS controller interlock for the rotator.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but that's not the same as that's not the same as a lockout. So you're gonna have to do a lockout on the power, which I believe is all set up. The last time I was there was almost 2 years ago, but they did have a lockout on the individual powers for the rotator and for the camera cable wrap. I know we pushed hard on getting that, but we got to get the team to do it, to use it. If it doesn't help us, if it's there and they're not locking it out.
So what I guess what I want to know is, Giovanni or Sandra, have you been working with Brian on this, or is this news to you?
No, I knew that this is coming. I didn't know that was next week, so soon. But I knew that was coming, and I remember I told with Kevin about it and how we can go for a lockout tagout on those specific action or task.
Well, that's good. Okay, so you did know about it.
Yeah.
But I think it's worthwhile that either you or Sandra actually get a little more involved.
Yeah.
Maybe have a one-on-one with Kevin and Brian.
Yeah.
On what they're up to.
Yeah.
I bring this to everybody's attention, Giovanni.
No, it's awesome. It's
great.
Good.
What they're doing, I know the team has been really concentrating about the importance of protecting the equipment, because the interlocks that we're talking about that they're setting are to protect it so that the rotator and the camera cable wrap move in synchronicity.
Right.
The problem is there's going to be a construction phase where we're putting all this stuff together, and they're not really thinking about that as a safety hazard. They're thinking long-term about protecting equipment and protecting personnel later. I just don't know if we have the right, we need safety professionals to be involved with this assessment, because honestly, the engineers shouldn't be the only ones doing the hazard analysis. We're terrible at it. That's your expertise, but nonetheless.
Yeah. No,
I will
Sean, I
that
think it's
for, yeah. I will change that Sean's statement for we don't need safety professional on each activity. We need the engineers that apply safety standards.
Yeah.
Because safety standards there.
Yeah.
We can go there for support, but yeah, I understand what you're going to
Yeah.
say.
Well, I think as always, Sean, it's a partnership, and we've
Yeah.
had that partnership. Unfortunately, COVID hasn't helped much, but
Yeah.
at least
I so much wish I could be there
I know.
next week. I mean,
Yeah.
just can't get there. So I'm sorry, and that's my own frustrations, but.
Me too. I want to be there too.
Oh, yes, it's killing us. Okay. But
no, it's a really good point. I think so. We got to kind of watch, because we can get complacent at the workplace. And like you said, like this presentation, balancing the COVID safety with industrial safety, and then also making sure that people, as they are doing their very good focused work, to make sure that they're thinking about their own personal safety while they're doing it, right? So maybe Brian and Kevin are very focused on making sure that none of the connection points within that cable wrap and all that don't get damaged, but they may not be thinking about, well, I just need to stick my hands in here for a few minutes to make sure that, or fix something or adjust something. And they may not be thinking about, well, that they're putting themselves in harm's way, right? So that's where we come in as safety professionals, right? Is that, okay, so you tell us about the procedure. What are you planning on doing? And asking questions like, okay, so how are you going to protect yourself, right? I mean, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. I was thinking about, I didn't want this high pressure line to be damaged, but okay, yeah.
I see that Juan Fabrica is still on.
Yes.
So yes, buenos dias, Juan. We should see if Juan, have people been asking you to lock out the rotator and the camera cable rack? Maybe you could help with that translation, Giovanni, if need be. And see if it's doing.
Juan Fábrega, Sean pregunta que si del equipo de Brian y el Kevin te han consultado a ti por la aplicación del loto en el rotator. ¿Te han consultado a ti para aplicarlo?
No.
Not good.
Uh-oh.
All right. Well, we'll need that next week. May need it this week. You may need it Friday. So sorry, Giovanni. It sounds like something that we'll have to address immediately. They are doing the installation on Wednesday, day after tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Sean, I think that is true. But I find that Kevin Reel is very safety conscious as well. So maybe he's got some things going on there that we don't know. So,
absolutely. I'm not saying there's a problem. I just don't know.
Yeah, we don't know, and it'll be good for us to know.
Yeah, good thing that we are on time. We are on time to address that and to check that. So I know Juan Fábrega can help us support with the application of Lockout Tagout. There's electrical energy.
Yeah.
And that we have an experience that already, as I mentioned it, P-flow elevator was as a very good training for us in one of actually work on a Lockout Tagout with an external party, as we did it with the Salt Lake guys. So the others, Juan was do it always in a Lockout Tagout with his own electrical team. That was more easy for us. That was very easy. We all, but when we apply with others, externals, that's when we actually put ourselves in.
So I'll just go back to our current issue. Not only electrical, as you said, Giovanni, in your presentation, there are other stored energy sources. One of them could be gravity in this particular case. And so we got to make sure that, you know, if people are sticking their hands in these things, that we need to be assured there's no movement, whatever that, however that is, whether it's a pin or both electric lockout tagout or whatever. Yeah, I don't understand the system enough to you know, evaluate it, but I'm sure you guys, when you get on site and talk to Kevin and Brian, you can understand it.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you very much for your comments. They are very useful, Sean and
Yeah,
Chuck.
thank you.
Thank you.
As usual.
And
Good seeing you guys.
and I also hope that someday you guys can be here. That will be more easy working with you here.
I wish I was there.
Yeah.
I was-
see things. Yeah.
I was looking at the Delta variant spiking in the United States. You don't want anybody from the United States for a while. It's looking really bad.
Well, Sean, I think I'm recovering from that, actually.
Oh, really?
I've been, well, I've been vaccinated. I'll just say that.
Right.
Months ago. But my entire family has been hit with basically all the symptoms that are on the questionnaire.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
And we're just sort of getting over it now. We're still with a persistent cough and nose congestion. You probably can hear it in my voice. And what's really annoying about it is that usually the coughing spells start at night, and so you don't get much sleep. But I actually, I'm pretty well convinced that we got the Delta variant at the Gessner house.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's as everybody's reading the news, this is bringing us into very unknown territory.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not like last year, although the infection rates are almost where they were at the peak in some areas, especially some different states as well, Arizona being one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very unfortunate, but
I think the good thing is that the Delta variant probably isn't as fatal, but it's been about 10 days. So my wife and I got it about the same time, sealed with a kiss. My daughter got it like 4 days afterwards, and so we're all hacking here. We're just coughing into rags and whatnot. It's, spraying the place with Lysol, and oh my God, it's terrible. The only thing is the dogs aren't sick.
oh yeah, I thought of that.
All right.
All right.
Very good, Giovanni. Maybe you can stay on a little bit. We might as well use this airwave to talk about maybe some other things.
Yeah.
The rest of you can sign off if you'd like, unless you have anything else to say. Thank you for attending. Really appreciate it.
Very nice presentation, Giovanni. Bye.
Thank you, John. Thank you.